Good evening, folks. I'm Abhijit Mutha. I'm the founder of Primes and Zooms. Thank you for joining us for this edition of the PNZ Live series. I have renowned photographer Samir Belvalkar with us today. Samir is a well-known photographer in the fashion, film, and corporate sectors. He's been in the industry for 17 years and worked with some of the biggest brands and publications in the country. A large part of Samir's body of work comprises shoots with celebrities. He's worked with top-notch actors like Priyanka Chopra, Shahrukh Khan, Hrithik Roshan, and many others. And that's the topic of our discussion with him today. We're going to talk about the art of shooting celebrities. So welcome, Samir. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Abhijit. Always good
How are
to
you
be
doing?
associated with you and Primes and Zooms. So I was really looking forward to this. I'm great. I'm great. How are you?
Thank you very well, Samir. Thank you.
Yeah,
So, Samir, I'm going to jump right into it with one key question.
totally.
To a lot of aspiring photographers, entering the film or the fashion industry is a bit of a challenge, and especially if you don't belong to Mumbai or you don't live in Mumbai, it's that much more difficult to get into those segments. So, how did you start with fashion photography? What was your entry point?
So honestly, every time I answer this question, there are different versions of what I come up with, and it makes me wonder how exactly did it happen for me. So it's all very cryptic. But honestly, it happened for me because I was never chasing it. You know what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying? So I see a lot of people chase fashion photography, celebrity photography, glamour photography, and they so desperately want a bite of it that I think it doesn't really come their way. At least that's true for most of the people. With
Remain.
me, I have done such a variety of things with photography because for me, I think I enjoyed the medium more than anything else. So what I shot, where I shot, who's in front of me never really mattered. It
Yeah.
was just the pure passion of photography, shooting on film because I started on film. So making every exposure count, making every because every click is money when you're shooting film. So that you tend to get that much more serious about what you're shooting and where you're shooting. So
Right.
I never intended to get into fashion photography or films or celebrity or whatever is my portfolio right now. Nothing of it was ever a plan. I basically just went with the flow. I started doing all the typical hobby shots that people have, depth of field, selective black and white and color, and typical trees in a row, pillars in a row. So obviously, like everybody else, I started off with that, and slowly and steadily I got interested in shooting as such. Then
Mm.
I have done a variety of things, including I was a press photographer for a English newspaper, and I was
Really?
covering, yeah, I was covering pastry parties. I was shooting open manholes. I was shooting over flooded drainages, and when extreme monsoon and tree would fall, they would send me to cover that. I would shoot traffic jams. So I started off shooting all that, and what I was really kicked about is somebody's paying me for it. So I'm earning something from it. Not that I went in there for the money. There are so many shoots that I've done free of cost. There are so many shoots that I still do free of cost. But I love the process of learning, in whatever it is that I was shooting. Even if it's a traffic jam, even if it's a fallen down tree, the rule of composition, the technicality of the exposure, the depth of field, all these things are they are perennial to everything. Whatever you shoot, you always think about all these things. So I
Right.
learned all these things, and slowly and steadily, automatically, I was taken towards films. And after films, in fact, I entered film photography first because my biggest break was Jodhaa Akbar. And after I
Uh-huh.
got Jodhaa Akbar, all the other things followed. So I got veered towards film, and it's a long story because I assisted a photographer in Bombay for a couple of months. After
Okay.
which I came back to a market shooting my own things. And what I realized is after assisting somebody, I uh, got a different perspective about photography, about how I want my pictures to look, how I want to shoot, what's going to be my style of shooting. I got a lot of perspective after assisting a photographer. And then I was doing my menial things, my small jobs, earning my $1,000 $2,000 with every assignment. And this photographer, he called me one day, offering me Jodhaa Akbar, and it was too good to be true. And he called out of the blue because he was very fond of me, and he really he really appreciated my communication skills and the way I would present myself and my confidence. And this is the guy who told me that I've got assistants only from JJ School of Arts throughout, but not one person has got the courage to talk to a Shahrukh Khan or talk to Akshay Kumar. And my first shoot with him, I'm standing right next to Akshay Kumar. We were shooting film publicity. I'm holding a reflector right next to his face. And while he's doing something with the camera, I'm cracking a joke with him, and I'm striking up a conversation. And he's looking at me from behind the camera like, what is this guy all about? Like, nobody who has ever assisted me, talented people have been able to do that. So he kind of knew that, okay, I have the metal, I have what it takes, and I'm going to go a long way. So he put all his faith into me. And yeah, we parted ways because I had to earn my bread and butter. I had to earn my livelihood, so I could not assist him for a longer time. But I heard from him after a long time, where he said Ashutosh is starting Jodhaa Akbar, and he's asked me. Of course, I can't be on the film project for such a long time, so I could not think of anyone but you, who could handle it. And it was like too good to be true. And I was still shooting film, and digital was just on the horizon, and I was not too sure if I'll be able to pull it off. But then I also realized that it's now or never, because if I say no to this opportunity, it's never really going to come my way again. So I said, let's
Right.
just take it up. And ever since that time, my attitude has been just to say yes to everything that's going to come my way. I took up the project. I said, worst case, what's going to happen? They'll kick me off the project, or I'll lose one film, or I'll leave it midway. That's the worst that can happen. But I think it's worth a shot. So even when I started shooting on Jodhaa Akbar, imagine having Hrithik Roshan and Aishwarya Rai and Sonu Sood as the first celebrities that you're shooting. I was completely, I could not really feel my legs, on the first day of the photo shoot. I was so nervous. And for an entire week, my pictures were really bad. Of course, I had shifted to digital. My pictures, the line of horizon was tilted, the focus was off. All pictures were coming. There was a lot of camera shake. I could not really pay attention to the shutter aperture. What am I shooting on? What are the lighting conditions? So all the pictures went down the drain. And I did a big self-talk. I said to myself, if I do not really up my game, and if I'm not gonna pull up my socks, this is gonna be taken away from me. And there are thousands in line. Anybody will get it, and people will happily do it. But if I don't up my game, that's the end of it for me. And yeah, after a week, I mustered up the confidence. I started striking up very informal conversations with the cast over there, because they have a persona, they have an aura, and it gets very, very overwhelming. And people tend to be a little starstruck. So I'm not somebody who will see a celebrity and go gaga and go run behind and take a picture, take an autograph. But their presence itself is so formidable that you tend to get a little nervous. So yeah, so after that, I really tried having informal conversations with them. And then I realized, yeah, they're not bad people. They're probably as down to earth as I am. And on a film crew, on any shoot, the star power kind of fades off, and everybody is basically just working towards a common objective. Everybody is wanting to get great shots. And in
Right.
in that sense, we have to synergize. So after that, all of it just completely wore off, and I think I put my best foot forward. And there was no stopping after that, and the pictures came out really well. Even till today, those pictures are appreciated. So how I got into fashion was, after doing Jodhaa Akbar, I kind of got introduced into the right circuit. My first break was this film. I was immediately in the Bombay circuit, being a Pune boy, because generally people that I've seen over here, they start off with the Pune market, local market. They really feel that, okay, they have conquered the Pune market, so to speak. And I know a lot of people like that. I've heard of a lot of people like that. They think that, okay, Pune is beneath them now. Let's go to Bombay. Let's just strike gold. They go to Bombay, and I think in about a year's time, maybe 2 years, they just come back to Pune, because Bombay is not everybody's cup of tea. So in that sense, I was very lucky, because my first break was this film, and my career started in Bombay. Although I was doing menial things like the press photography job and other freelance assignments that I was doing over here, but that was purely the labor of love. It was purely out of passion. So in Bombay, I think I got introduced to the style of working, how to talk to celebrities, how to manage celebrities, and I got into the bigger game, so to speak. It was too early for me. It's too early for me to still say that, after getting a first break, I can say that I'm in the big game. But things that happened afterwards, you know, kind of summed it up in that sense, because after I was in the Mumbai circuit, I met the right people. I was at the right place at the right time. I got introduced to magazines. People wanted to know who was shooting the pictures of Jodhaa Akbar. So I met some editors. I met some other production houses. I met a lot of models who were wanting to shoot with me, because the word went out, and like it or not, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but in the Indian film industry has that pull over the audience. So the minute they came, the minute they came to know that I'm the sole photographer on the film, everybody wanted to get shot by me. So that really worked in my favor. And one thing led to the other, and the newspapers turned to magazines. The magazines turned to bigger magazines, and then through the magazines, I got in touch with this photographer who I assisted. Then it turned into films. Then films turned into portfolios, turned into fashion shoots, turned into a lot of other things. And after Jodhaa Akbar, I did My Name Is Khan. So again, it was something bigger than Jodhaa Akbar, because you have a Karan Johar, you've got a Shahrukh Khan, you've got a Kajol. So like these are the biggest names in the industry today. So I think one thing led to the other. I think I was uh, at the right place at the right time. I learned to see an opportunity when I saw one, and even if it was even if it was a semblance of an opportunity, I would
Right.
still know how to convert it into an opportunity. I think that is my biggest gift. I
Yes.
also feel that being able to talk well, being able to articulate exactly what I want, being able to put my foot down. Also, I am a little intimidating, to a lot of people. So I think all those things, really help when you're in this field. So yeah, to cut the long story short, one thing led to the other, the right place at the right time, getting the right opportunities. When there were no opportunities, I would know how to convert something into an opportunity. So that's how I entered. So I had no plan to enter fashion photography, but yeah, it just happened, and I went with the flow, and here I am.
Very nice. So
Yeah,
it's basically about generating enough dots and then making sure that those dots connect into a picture that you like.
absolutely, absolutely. And you don't really have any flexibility in putting those dots, because those dots really get placed for you. You don't really have much say in that.
Right. So Samir, can you walk us through some of the work that you've done in this field?
Yeah, totally. I've got a selection of. I tried very hard to shortlist them down to maybe 10 best shots, but I think that was very, very difficult. So I have some 30, 35 shots, which I will quickly, take you through.
Sure.
So I'll also try and tell you some trivia, some things about who I shot it for, why I shot it, some fun things that happen, some interactions. I'll try to make it as interesting as I can. So there you go. Hang on, just still trying to get a hang of this. Yeah. Okay. Are you seeing this?
Yes, it's up.
Okay. Excellent. So now this is an editorial shoot. So basically, Sai and me, we're friends, and long time ago, I remember when I was shooting for a local magazine here in Pune, I got the opportunity of shooting with her, and that shoot was a disaster. It was such a disaster, I can't even begin to tell you. And she had heard a lot about me through, of course, Jodhaa Akbar and all the celebrities that I had shot. So even in a way, she was looking forward to working with me. I was looking forward to working with her, because I think she's the first Marathi celebrity that I shot. Little did we know that it's just going to go completely south. And in the end, we just had like a pep talk. We just said to each other, it's all right. I think, she said, I think the problem is with me. I've put on weight. And I'm like, no, I think you're fine. Maybe I'm just not able to, make you look prettier than what you already are. So we just, made a peace with it. We parted ways. And after, I think, a couple of years, we had this opportunity of working together again. And we did this shoot, and this really rocked, and the pictures came out very, very well. And Sai, what she said, in her own words, is, okay, Samir, great shoot, I think we are holy again. So so that is one bad karma that just had to be wiped out, in some way. So this is a picture from that. So also a little bit about the lighting. I'm somebody who shoots in available light. I like shooting. I put lights only when they are required, when they're absolutely required. Firstly, I'll try everything that I can to shoot in the available light. I think the
Right.
biggest problem and the biggest thing that people need to know is how to see the light.
Yes.
What I've realized over years and years of work is, the light that I need for my photo shoot is almost always there. It's present in front of me. It's only about identifying, okay, this is my light, this is how I want to shoot, this is where I want to keep the model, and what I have is enough. Now what is not enough, I'm gonna supplement, and I'm gonna put my lights, and I'm just gonna pump in probably in the same direction as the existing light. I'm just gonna amplify the same existing light, probably add a reflector, probably add the second light if need be, but I'm essentially a one light person, two lights at best. There are also some shoots where the client needs to know that he's getting his money's worth. So if he sees one light and two lights, then he feels no, 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 shoot acha nahi hua hai. So that's just like a mindset that they have. But yeah, so there have been shoots where I have done a shoot of celebrities with one light, and the client is not happy with it. And then I have right now some 9 or 10 lights. So there are shoots where I put up 6, 7, 8 lights.
Oh,
Only one light is doing the entire job, and the other lights are just firing at just for the heck of firing, so the client feels that it's an elaborate setup. And somehow when he sees all the paraphernalia and all the gizmos kept over there, then people feel like the shoot has gone well and they've got their money's worth. So it's just about taking care of a certain mindset and indulging the client. It's just about how you handle them. So this is that picture. Over to the next one. So I'm not going to go in any particular sequence, but I've got some sports celebrities. I've got some, of course, Bollywood celebrities. I've got some Marathi film celebrities, and I've got a mixture of these three categories. So now this is one shoot which I had done with Mary Com for Bridgestone.
okay.
So Bridgestone was going to be the official sponsor for Olympics 2020, and with the pandemic and everything, I think it's delayed to a different time. I don't know when it's going to happen, but yeah, this is something that we had shot. We had gone to Delhi to shoot this, I think, on a 2 day or 3 day notice, and I
Okay.
think it got cancelled a couple of times because people like these, they've got their endorsements, they've got their practice, they've got their training, plus
Right.
they've got their tournaments. So of course they have to plan their day, they have to eat on time, so there are a lot of things that they have to look after. So this shoot, I remember getting cancelled a couple of times, but finally when I uh, met her and went to Delhi and shot her. It was a great shoot. She gave me almost the entire day to shoot. So that's something which is very generous of any celebrity, be it a sports personality or a Bollywood celebrity, because they are very, very pressed for time. And regarding how time is of the essence, I've got more stories to tell you as we go along. So I'll just wait for the right picture to show, and then I will tell you stuff about that. And while I'm telling you all this, you can interrupt me at any point in time and ask me a further question, or branch out into different questions. So please feel free. So this is also for Bridgestone. Of course, this is shot on a chroma, and Mericom's picture was not shot in the chroma on a chroma. It was shot in a gym in Delhi. This is shot on the chroma, and of course, the background, as you can clearly see, is superimposed. So now this is
Right.
PV Sindhu, and as a part of Bridgestone being my client, I got this really great opportunity of shooting all the Olympic medal winners, all the Indian champions. So a brief list was, Kidambi Shrikant, PV Sindhu, Sakshi Malik, then Lalita Babar, and Mary Kom. So these were some of the people that I shot for Bridgestone. And yeah, it's continuous work. We are also doing a lot of videos and a lot of behind the scenes films of the actual ad shoots that are being shot. So more on that later. So even PV Sindhu, I think I got around 2.5, 3 hours with her, and we had to do a total of around 5 to 6 looks.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was yeah, it was very, very difficult. And over time, if you ask me what my USP is, yes, of course I've got a certain way of shooting. I've developed a unique style of shooting. But over the years, what has come out as my USP is I'm very, very quick with what I do. So people are baffled because they come up to me and say my last shoot was the same amount of work and the photographer took some 12 or 14 hours to do it, and I'm here doing it in less than half the time and giving him better results. So ultimately, again, that boils down to exactly knowing what you want, seeing what you want, in your head before you can actually pick up the camera, going there with some kind of a preparation in terms of how you want the final output to look, what kind of lighting you're going to use, doing a little bit of research about these people. So I
Right.
think if all of those things are in place, then I don't see why a shoot will just take 14 hours, 15 hours, and 16 hours. Of course, there are some clients who also feel that 2 ghante mein shoot hua, so it's not worth it. So that's also one more thing. So there are times when we stretch the shoot also, but yeah, I'm not somebody that prefers doing it, so very rarely. So this is with PV Sindhu. Now this is also an editorial shoot. This is with Sunny Leone, and again, this was a very small window. We were not getting any studios to shoot in Mumbai, so we were running helter skelter finding a studio. One studio which I knew will work for this photo shoot, I had booked, but her manager went over there. I think the same day morning, and he did not like the studio, and he canceled the photo shoot because he said that the studio is not good for her, and that just went down the drain. So immediately what happened is, we scheduled the shoot in the second half in a different studio. So this studio was like an empty shell. So now, what do you do in an empty studio? I've just got like 4 or 5 plain backgrounds to play with, and maybe one pillar, 2 pillars over, inside the studio, with some with one wall which was full of moss because of the rains in Bombay. And it was a very dingy place. It was a very empty place. But yeah, we had to make the most out of whatever was available to us. We had to save the day. So I remember for this shoot, I think she flew in from some other country the same day morning, and the same night she was again leaving for some other country. So that's the kind of schedule that she was on. So she came with a really, really bad headache. I remember she asking one of my team members for a painkiller, so which we arranged for. And in that, I think she popped the painkiller and gave me a fantastic shoot. Again, we had, I think, three hours or 4 hours to shoot with her, and we had a total of 5 or 6 looks that we had to pull. But that's the thing with professional people. They know exactly what to do. And I often feel that these people, no matter how you shoot them, the pictures generally tend to come out well. So of course, that's not an excuse.
Right.
Sorry.
There's a
Yeah.
certain level that you're bound to achieve.
Exactly. And to which I really try to make a difference, because I keep telling everyone, even at all my lectures, if you shoot Sunny Leone, there's a 9 out of 10% chance that you're going to end up with a great picture.
Right.
But it's because she is so great. She knows her angles, she knows how to work the camera, she knows her poses. So the credit is not the photographer's, the credit is hers.
Yes.
So if I can shoot her in a way, which she has not been shot before, if I can bring out something about her which nobody has seen before, then the credit is mine. Otherwise, the credit is all the stars. So
Very true.
you go to Ladakh, you click a monastery against a snowy mountain. It is pretty. No matter, even if I click it with the phone camera, it's going to come out pretty. So whose credit is that? It's not the photographer's credit. It's the mountain's credit, and it's the monastery's credit. But shooting it in a way, using the lenses, doing maybe a stop motion, doing like a sorry, not stop motion, doing like a slow shutter, getting some kind of a blur in the clouds, introducing a foreground, deciding on your background, waiting for a certain time of the day. So all that is the photographer's credit. So also, I feel that the more professional the people are, the quicker the shots happen. So I am very, very, apart from the celebrities, there are some photographers I know who only work with celebrities, because they know that their job becomes very, very easy. These top
Mm-hmm.
photographers don't really have the patience to work with first timers or models who are just aspiring, or established models also, for that matter. Because
Right.
once they work with celebrities, firstly they have less time, so
Yeah.
that is equal to the photographer investing less time, and time is money.
Yes.
Also, no matter how you shoot them, there's a good chance that you'll get all good shots. So if you see a lot of top photographers, they refuse to work with models, they'll only choose celebrities. But when I shoot with models, I also make sure that the client spends well on the models, because I think getting a good model is, I think, 95% of your job done. People don't realize it, but I think the first price point that goes down the drain, the first price that is negotiated, is the model's price. A
Uh-huh.
lot of construction people that I've worked with, a lot of jewelry people that I've worked with, they always try and set up their niece or their daughter or their, somebody in the family, because
Right.
she's just looking pretty, and I tell them I am not going to work. I don't want a pretty face. I want somebody who can perform in front of the camera, who can
Yeah.
bring in something of their own, not only for me to spoon feed, but I want them to contribute to the photo shoot in terms of their experience, in terms of what they can do and what they cannot do. So in that
Right.
sense, I think spending on a model and getting a right model is 95% of the job done, like I already mentioned. So yeah, so this is again 4 or 5 hours, 3 or 4 hours, I think, roughly that, to finish about 5 looks, and we went like lightning speed, and all the shots came out really well. So over to the next one. Okay,
So,
this is
Samir, I'm
again,
just,
yeah,
if I could just pose a couple of questions from the audience.
please.
Uh, we have a question from Ashwin. You spoke about pre-visualization
Correct.
and the preparation that goes into a shoot. So
Correct.
Ashwin wants to know, how do you pre-visualize a shot before going to a location?
So I pre-visualize when I'm there, because I don't know what the location is going to look like. I don't know what kind of a temperament my celebrity is going to be in. So I
Correct.
don't really know. I think it's about keeping your mind open and keeping your eyes and ears open. I feel once I'm there, I derive inspiration from a lot of things. From just the way the studio is, just the way the location is. Maybe I look outside and it's a beautiful, bright, sunny day. I would derive inspiration from that. So there have been times when I've actually approached. I've done my homework. I've worked on storyboards and mood boards, and I've gone to a photo shoot, and nothing of that I have been able to do while I'm shooting. So it's all
So
gone down the drain. Yeah, and what has happened over there, which has taken its own course, is something far superior than what I could have ever imagined.
very nice.
So I always call it, the X factor or the magic that happens, when you're not prepared. you know uh, so I allow that kind of a leeway for that magic to happen once I'm there on the photo shoot. So I don't really visualize down to the last T. Like, to answer the question, I visualize once I'm already there, and once I know what I have at hand, how my introduction with the celebrity or the model goes, how comfortable we are. If we're not comfortable, then I have to spend a lot of time breaking the ice with the celebrity, because that's very, very important. Be it a
Yes.
celebrity, be it a model, be it a first timer, be it an established model, breaking the ice is very, very important. At that point, you are less of a photographer, you're more of a psychologist. You're 90% psychologist, 10% photographer, if I can put it in that ratio, because you really have to work with the psyche of the person in front of you.
Right.
And it's understood that you can click good pictures, and your lighting, and the basics of your camera. So what happens is, when you work with the psyche of the person, you concentrate on the entire crew having a good time, and the in the sense, in terms of a good shoot, you concentrate on the celebrity or the person you're shooting having a good time, in terms of giving them not a photo shoot but an experience. you know you ensure all these things, and good pictures are just a byproduct. So that's typically what happens on most of my photo shoots.
Nice. We have a couple of questions from Shri Krishna Joshi and Dipesh, but I'm going to
Sure.
take them up at the relevant points in your discussion. So I'm just
Okay.
holding them.
Sure. Should I proceed?
You can proceed, yes, please.
Okay. So this is, of course, this is a shoot with Shama Sikandar. Again, it's a editorial photo shoot. So the whole plan was to shoot indoors, and it was pretty cloudy. It was raining, as much as I remember. And while we were shooting indoors, the shots were not really happening the way I had planned. And
Mhm.
it opened up outdoor. There was bright light, and this beautiful fountain was looking amazing in direct sunlight. So the instant change in brief was, to go outdoor, and again, like I said before, let the magic happen. If I would have stuck to my brief of shooting indoor and shooting in the corridor exactly where I want to shoot her, I probably would not have got such an exciting shot. But again, this is shot in broad daylight. The reason why you can't see harsh shadows and harsh light is because there's a skimmer which is kept on top,
Ah,
diffusing the entire sunlight. So in
right.
terms of the setup, nothing is used over here. It's only natural sunlight and one skimmer on top. That's the entire setup for this photo shoot.
Wow.
And again, like I always believe, less is more.
Very true.
again, this is our star, Kedar Zadav. One second, I'm just trying to come back to your screen. Yeah. So again, this is the editorial shoot which I had done at the Westin in Koregaon Park in Pune. So he was extremely nervous to come for the photo shoot because sportsmen, especially if you're new in the sports world, you're not that used to facing the camera because you've not done so many endorsements. You're not that camera savvy yet. So he was pretty nervous. But again, what really saved the day was the communication that I had with him, the ice breaking that I did with him. He also being a Pune boy, me also being a Pune boy, the kind of rapport we try to share. And after this photo shoot, in fact, he offered to buy the entire photo shoot from me. He loved the picture so much because he said, I've never looked this good. So that was like one of the biggest compliments that I could get. But then, of course, that did not really work out because it was somebody else's copyright, and they got a little sticky about it. But then, yeah, we are still planning a brand new photo shoot. In fact, today only I was in touch with his manager. So we planned it a couple of times, but yeah, it's just a matter of time till we do it again. So over to the next slide. So this is a series of pictures I had done with Arjun Rampal.
Yeah.
One second. Yeah, so just I think ignore the watermark. I could not get one without the watermark. I used to put watermarks before. It's my old logo, but I generally hate watermarks on all my pictures. I think they just take the attention away. And anybody who knows how to remove them can remove them at the snap of a finger. So this is I was in Australia shooting this film called We Are Family, and we used to have a lot of time in between shots. So in between shots is when we did all these extreme close-ups. Now this is him sitting by the beach waiting for the director to call him for the next shot. And I walked up to him and asked him that the light is fantastic. There was a sudden cloud cover over the sky, and I asked him, Arjun, light is really good, and I think your mood and the beach and everything, the whole setting is fantastic. Can we do some close-ups? And before, these people love to face the camera, they love to look good. So before I could ask for it, he started doing his own thing. I tried to guide him a little bit, but he was very, very clear about what he wants to do. So, he just covered the face on the side, this, that. He just gave me a lot, like an entire spectrum of expressions. And, that's how all these close-up shots came about.
Beautiful.
And something about Arjun, he's like a prank master, the kind of pranks he used to play on the film set. Life-threatening pranks. Like I can't even begin to tell you. So more on that some other time.
Sure.
Okay, so yeah. So this is also an editorial shoot that I had done for a national magazine. So again, someone who does not like to face the camera at all. He and his wife Kajol both I have worked with, and both of them have a complete aversion towards the camera. One would wonder that why would such big stars not like to face the camera? But it's, I think, mainly about facing the still camera, not the movie camera. Because on a movie camera, see, these people are great actors. They're in a way veteran actors. They've been around for the longest time, and I think they've proved their moxie. So what happens is when they face the movie camera, they always have something to do. They've got an action to do. They've got an emotion to show. They've got expressions to play around with and change, dialogues to concentrate on. So in that sense, they're constantly doing something or the other. And then suddenly when you come in front of the still camera, you've got nothing to do. You're just standing over there and you're trying to just look cool, and you're trying to give attitude to the camera, and you're just trying to look like a superstar. So that's not everybody's cup of tea. So I know for a fact that these two people absolutely hate to face the camera. In that sense, I think the shoot went really well, and we got the shots very, very fast. And I think people who don't like to face the camera, like these people, I think the biggest thing for them is ki, just let me go out of here like a really fast. Don't hold me on too long, because this is very awkward and very difficult for me. One more person, unfortunately, I haven't worked with him as yet, but I've heard from my colleagues in the industry that even Mr. Amitabh Bachchan is one of the people who does not take too well to still camera. Although he's like he's an uncrowned king, but still, he has that aversion. Of course, this is something. This is hearsay. I don't know this for a fact, but I've got authentic people in the industry who've told me this. Okay, moving on. Okay, so this was shot at the same time. Honestly, this is shot in Mehboob Studio in Bombay. This was, I think, just before the movie Golmaal. I think the second part or the third part. I don't know which one. I don't really watch that series, but this is a shoot which was done right before the release of that film. So I
Okay.
had both of them in the same studio on the same shoot floor on the same day. So I was shooting. I had a setup ready for Ajay on one side, and I had a setup ready for Kareena on the other side. There were some shots which we did of them together, which went on the cover of the magazine. But this is something. If you see the behind the scenes of this photograph, you will be blown away because this is just a very worn out. Like, if you kick this door, it will fall down. It's that kind of a door. But it is just so distant at the background that you blur it out, and it just looks very, very fancy. It just looks very, very creative. So there's nothing. It's not a fancy location. It's like a rundown place with a further rundown door. So again, it's all about what you can do over here. I had no idea that I'm going to get a door like this, or a floor space like this.
Yeah.
It was about going there, and when you realize, okay, you just have four empty walls, and you've got two pillars in the center of the studio. Now what do you do? So then that's when all the visualization starts happening, and then your thinking caps are on, and you really have to think on your feet because celebrities don't have time. So you
Right.
call them there, and your shot is not ready, and they realize that you're tinkering with some idea, you're experimenting with some idea. They are done with you. They will just walk out, and nobody can stop them. It's that difficult, that it's that challenging. But her I had worked with before on VR Family. So she was more than happy, more than cool to shoot with me. So that was already like an icebreaker, that we because we were on the film for, I think, around 3.5 months. So that was enough ice breaking that we had done for her to be okay to shoot with me.
Right.
Okay, going forward now. uh, this
So
is
if
also
I,
one more. Yeah.
there's a question here that's relevant, which has come from Sri Krishna Joshi. In
Yes.
terms of what kind of a discussion should a photographer have with a celebrity for breaking ice? How do you do it?
So we do some research. My manager Rahul, he also does some research, and he always tells me about this is what they like. Like when shooting Mary Com, I think, or even PV Sindhu, I think Mary Com had won, and she defeated some foreign boxer and some title, which she was very happy about. So striking conversation about how difficult it was to beat her, or how do you feel after uh, completely putting her down in the dust, was something of a conversation starter. Then again with Mary Com, what happened was, when I shoot, I like people to give attitude, and when I say give attitude, I just want their eyes to not be big like this, like how they normally are, but just a little squeeze, just like a little squinch of the eyes is something that I prefer. And Mary Com also was a great shoot, but she was not opening up as much as I wanted her to open up. But then over there, I think having a sense of humor really, really saved the day, because I told her, give attitude, just make your eyes small, just squint your eyes a little bit more. And because of the ethnicity that she belongs to, she actually looked at me and said, "You want it smaller than this?" And she just broke out into a laughter. So I knew that was going to happen. Somewhere I was predicting that will happen, and that's exactly why I said that. So identifying these things, with PV Sindhu, I think she had won some big accolade, which my team told me about. That okay, this is what she's won, so maybe you want to bring it up in the shoot. So when you bring in these personal things, and you talk to them about these personal things and then their achievements, I think the immediate connect is that this guy knows about you. He has researched about you. He follows you. He's getting he's getting how do I say it? He's trying to connect with you beyond this photo shoot. So it's a good feeling. Immediately the guards are dropped, and a lot of things can follow. So if you're shooting a celebrity, maybe you can find out about their hobbies, what they like, what sport they like, which movies are coming up, or you can check a little on their personal life. Of course, don't bring up things like breakups and all that, but all the positive things that you can find out about the person can be used in conversations. And so many times I'm behind the camera, and I shoot them things about, okay, about their hobby, or about a certain sport that they like, and
Right.
then they start talking about that, and then they realize, okay, well, this is the conversation that's happening. So I really feel no matter who you're shooting, the conversation should never stop. The minute the conversation stops, what you get is a confused photographer and a dead board model, and nobody really wants that. The
Right.
communication has to keep going on, and especially when it's a celebrity, you really have to tread very carefully. Don't go all out with like a Pandora's box of things that you found out about the person. Take it one step at a time, get a feeler, test the waters. Some people are very eccentric, some celebrities have temper issues, and I have faced the brunt of it. I've learned everything the hard way. So tread carefully, go carefully, but do your research. Google is there; it will give you everything, the history, geography, everything of the person, and you can use personal information, and it's easy to break the ice with them that way.
Right. But don't be a creep.
Yeah, don't be a creep. Don't be a creep. Okay. So now I'm gonna show you two shots from an advertising photo shoot that I did for Ford Motors.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if you remember, it's not very long ago that these ads were out, and also the TVCs were out. So they had signed up with three villains of the film industry. Prakash Raj was one, Gulshan Grover was the other, and Sudha Chandran was the third one.
Okay.
And I'll not get into the creatives and the entire narrative of the ad, but this is one of my quickest shoots of my life. Because this guy, he's so brilliant. He knows exactly what to give, how to stand, what expressions are expected. And literally, they had kept half a day for me to shoot with him. Half a day was for the video shoot, for the TVC, and half a day was for the stills. So I went there with 6 hours in hand. The 6 hours of the TVC, he had finished it up in 3 hours, and then he was already waiting for me for 3 hours. And I'm under pressure because I'm starting from Pune. I was doing a shoot in Pune, so I'm starting from Pune. I'm trying to reach there, on time, and they're pressurizing me to come early. Come early. I'm like, I cannot come early. I'll be there before your call time. But how can I come early? I'm on my way. So this is not something you throw at me last minute.
Yes.
And then once I reached over there, this guy, I did my setup in about 35-40 minutes. This guy came, the jam jar was his prop, which is also there in the TV commercial. He
Right.
took over the stage. I started clicking, and I'm telling him the instructions, and he's like, no, 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 just keep clicking, just keep clicking. And he just took the jam jar. He looked down for a couple of seconds. He came up. He was a different person, and
Oh,
tuck, 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 tuck. This shoot got over in 12 to 15 minutes.
that's all?
That's all. Every click was a winner. And he's like, "Mil gaya na?" I said, "Yeah, yeah. I think I've got the shots." The agency guys looked at it. They were looking at it for like 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and there's nothing that they could say about it because it was spot on, exact expressions, exact mood. So this, yeah, I guess it's a pack up then. So you give me 6 hours with a celebrity, and this guy finished it up in 15 minutes.
It must be an absolute pleasure to work with people like that.
Oh, absolute pleasure, and I'm anyways a fan of him, because the kind of roles he does, and the kind of acting that he does, I think it's very phenomenal. But
Very
yeah,
character driven.
very professional, knows exactly what he needs to give, trained to face the camera, born to face the camera.
Right.
From the same series is this one.
Mm-hmm.
This is with Gulshan Grover. Again, I'll skip the narrative of the ad, but again, this was shot in Bombay for Ford Motors, a part of the same series. Now, again, the TVC was happening, and again, half and a half day was kept for the TVC and the photo shoot. So 6 hours of TVC, 6 hours of photo shoot. Now, here, something else happened.
Okay.
The TVC just ate into all my time. So I had 6 hours with him. So the TVC people finished their 6 hours of shooting, and they ate up into 3, 4, 5 hours of my time. And to
Right.
the point where my setup is ready, and I'm really wondering even if I'll get the shots or if I'll get to shoot with him or not. And then he is such a gentleman. He came from within the shoot, knowing that I'm waiting for the stills to be done. He came to me 2 to 3 times, personally apologized that तेरा still तो मैं देके रहूंगा. I'm sorry, these people are taking time, कुछ मिल नहीं रहा है, lighting का issue है, but I'm going to make sure that you get your shots. And in the end, I think the location people came and they were driving us out because we had already overstepped our overstayed over there. And I just looked at him, and I just just like did that kind of a thing. And he's like, "Arey, come, I had promised you," and he came to the setup. Even over here, 10 minutes and the shoot was done. Literally 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's crazy. I think years and years of them facing the camera. I think the thousands of hours that they have, face the camera. I think all of that just shows.
Yes. Thank you.
Again, so okay. Again, this is on the sets of We Are Family. Again, somebody who does not like to face the camera. But yeah, I think I irritated her to the point where she's like, "Arey, chalo yaar, just finish your pictures." And so that was the joke, and that's how the smile came about. I think she taunted me, and she was very sarcastic about me constantly wanting to click her pictures. And I think in that whole banter, I think a genuine smile, is what I saw. Now, also one thing for a photographer to do is to constantly be ready, because you never really know when you're going to get the shot, when you're not going to get the shot. Now, if I'm going to get this expression from her, if I'm not ready with my camera, if I'm going to be okay, wait, I'm going to get the camera out, then check my settings, then check my lens, I'm going to put it up to my face, and I'm going to take 20 seconds over there, finished.
Oh, right.
You're never going to get it. So at times, these pictures come out a little blur also, but I think getting the shot is more important. So it's rarely happened with me, but I am always ready, because I really feel the magic happens, the shots actually happen when I am not obstructed by the camera. That's in that sense, I've always started using a tripod. I never used to use a tripod before, but I realized that once I step out from the camera, there's a lot of interesting things that keep happening over there. And at that point in time, I have to be ready with my hand on the trigger, that okay, this is happening, my focus is locked, I never leave the focus button. I see something happening and I just shoot away, and those shots typically are like the best shots.
Right. Extremely natural.
Extremely, yeah, yeah. Then this is the old shoot. This is when Pune had their very own IPL team, the Pune Warriors.
Right.
So this was shot here only in JW Marriott. So I think an entire day of shooting them. So again, these people, they know how to face the camera, like I have been telling you over and over again. On the other hand, I will compare this shoot with so many campaigns of pro kabaddi that I've shot. So I've
Okay.
shot for Dabang Delhi twice. I think I've shot for Puderi Paltan, I think 3 times for all the campaigns.
Okay.
And cricket is such a popular sport, and these people are so camera friendly and camera savvy, that this shoot was a piece of cake. Unless it was for the people who were very new in the team, or who had not faced the camera at all. On the other hand, we have the pro kabaddi people who are who have come from different small towns of Haryana and Delhi, and the whereabouts.
Yes.
Also, kabaddi is a very rudimentary sport, so it's just coming up, and it's very interesting. I've been hooked onto it ever since I started shooting these people. But they have never faced the camera, they've hardly ever stepped out of their villages. So when you actually shoot a kabaddi campaign, versus an IPL campaign, the IPL campaign is just like a piece of cake with the icing on top, and also the cherry. It's that great. But over here with the kabaddi people, you have to overcome the language barrier, because most of them are from Haryana, they speak Haryanvi. What I'm saying, they don't understand. What they're saying, I don't understand. The camera and the technicalities, and what I'm doing, why am I doing it, why am I taking so many pictures, and it's something which is beyond them. So try to tell them that this is something that is the need of the moment, and this is what I've been paid for, and this is what needs to go out there, is very, very challenging. So you really have to keep them in good humor,
Right.
and try and get the best shots out of them. I remember one person, I forgot that guy's name, from a pro kabaddi campaign. When I shot so many pictures of him doing a certain thing, he said to me in Haryanvi that, "Arey, itte photo to mare shaadi mein bhi nahi khiche the maine." Something on those lines. And I'm like, well, I got to do what I got to do. Otherwise, I'm not going to get paid, and you're not going to look good. So let's just do this. So again, tackling with them is different. Tackling a Yuvraj Singh is different. Tackling a Mary Com is different. So you really have to tap into the pulse of the celebrity that you're shooting, and see what's going to save the day, and just go ahead and do that.
So, Samir, we have a question from Anand that is pertinent over here. So he asks,
Okay.
how much creative freedom do you have when working with celebs? Do you get a creative brief on what they're looking for?
See, I if I'm shooting an advertising campaign, if it's for IPL, if it's for Pro Kabaddi, or if it's for the Bridgestone, all the Olympic medal winners, ultimately this is like a campaign shoot for a company, for a brand. So the brief from them is very, very clear. So I don't have much of creative freedom. I can play around, I can suggest a lot of things, but a lot of things are, you have to give them a certain repository of pictures which are required by them, and where you don't really have any creative freedom. But I also insist on doing it my way. So in that sense, me being very, very quick with the camera really, really helps over here, because let's say if I've got 3 hours, I will take 2 hours to shoot exactly what they want, and the extra 1 hour that I have on top, I will pretend like I'm shooting for them, but actually I'm doing what I want to do creatively. So a lot of times, so you can't tell them that I'm going to try something different and expect them to be okay with it, because they're bound by a brief. They
Right.
ultimately have to put those pictures, up in creatives, up in different layouts. Every picture solves a certain purpose. So in that sense, you don't really have too much of creative freedom. But yes, if you're shooting celebrities for a magazine, if you're doing their own personal shoots, then I think you have a complete free hand to do whatever you want.
Okay. So we can continue.
Yeah, just going on. Okay. So this is again one more shot of Arjun Rampal. This is again a impromptu shot done on the sets of We Are Family. Again, waiting between shots. Now this is a shot which is directly out of the camera. Nothing has been done over here, and I think I've probably just played around with the shadows and the highlights, but no imagery touching. This was shot in black and white, and
Oh,
minimum editing is done on this. Hardly anything. Again, this is also a part of the same film. So again, in between, a lot of time between shots, the lighting is changing, location is changing. It was very freezing weather and a lot of wind. So she had this jacket on, which was a personal jacket, just to avoid the wind chill. And I think it was just looking very, very nice with her fair skin and the black jacket contrasting against the fair skin. So it was just about her standing wherever I asked her to stand. And
mhm.
of course, when I'm requesting a favor, when I'm requesting them to give me some extra shots, I can't expect them to bend over backwards. I really have to do things which are limited. I can't ask her to go 1 kilometer away with me, or just do something which is very awkward or out of a comfort zone. So given the situation, given whatever is available, what is the best I can do is the essence of whatever shots I get. Okay, going forward. Okay, so I think enough has been said about these pictures. I think these are the pictures that actually, put my name out there. I was talked about, and a lot of fame came my way after this photo shoot. So on this movie shoot, honestly, people ask me why I don't keep doing movie shoots, but I really feel that working on a film is it's great, but there is no creative freedom, because you're essentially just copying the frame that the movie camera is already shooting.
Right. Yeah.
You have to understand at this point, what really, really comes in handy is you convincing them that you want the pictures, because nobody wants the pictures. A still photographer on a movie set is the most hated person on the movie set, because nobody wants, it's like a stop, it's like a interruption in the entire movie making process, because
Yeah.
the everybody wants to move on to the next shot, the setup needs to change, the lighting needs to change, and the only thing holding everything back
Is the
is the
photographer.
photographer.
Right.
So yeah, so over here you need to know, how do you want to make peace with it, how do you want to convince them, how do you want to get into the good books and tell them where to look, what to do, what not to do, probably tweak the light a little bit with maybe some reflectors and cutters. So that's something that is your call and you have to do. uh, but other than that, I think it's challenging in a different way. In terms of photography, I think the lighting is already set. You just have to tweak it according to what you want, and I think you're good to go. Okay, next one. Okay. Yeah. So when I was shooting her, I coined a phrase for her on the movie shoot. I used to call her boringly beautiful because any angle, anywhere I stand, anywhere she stands, whatever she's doing, I take a picture of her. It always used to come out really, really well. So in that sense, I realized that she's just great looking, and she knows how to work the camera. So that's what made me think that if I'm taking a picture of her and it's coming out so well, is that my credit or is that her credit? So that got me thinking about that fact in the first place. So if you ask about creative freedom over here, you have no creative freedom because you essentially have to copy the same frames that
Yeah.
that the movie camera is shooting. So you can't veer too much. If they find out that you're veering away and wasting their time, you're gonna get their wrath. That's written. Abhijit, just excuse me for 10 seconds. I'm just going to switch on the button of the laptop. Yeah. Sorry. Good to go. Yeah. Sorry. I thought it was on, but it was off.
So,
Am I
Samir, we have a
audible?
question.
Ah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We have a question from Dipesh specifically around Jodhaa Akbar.
Uh-huh.
So, any challenges you faced during the Jodhaa shoot as you were new for them, or you were new to production stills in general?
No, I was new to everyone on that film because nobody knew me and it was my first film. So the challenges were plenty. The challenges were initially as basic as holding the camera straight because, like I said, a lot of pictures I was clicking, all of them were coming tilted. And I showed them to Ashutosh, and he's like, "Why are they tilted?" And I had no answer for it. And until he pointed them out, I did not realize that these pictures are tilted, which is the worst part.
Right.
So it was as basic as getting the holding the camera straight, not shivering, not let the star power, overpower yours, and try to talk to them because my voice was shaking, my legs were shaking. I could not even have a decent conversation or a talk with them. So I think overcoming that fear, overcoming that, uh, you know. How do I say it? Overcoming that anxiety, I think, was the biggest challenge. And then I think when you click so many pictures, you generally will get the shots.
Thank you, Samir.
Yeah, most welcome. I'm just gonna move on to the next slide. 1 second.
Sure.
Yeah. Now this shoot, this is Kailash Kher. I don't know how many people know, but
Yes.
Kailash Kher is a very famous and popular singer. So this was my first celebrity shoot ever.
Uh-huh.
So this is done for a magazine based out of Bangalore.
Okay.
His song "Allah Ke Bande" had become a rage. It had become very, very popular. And after that, all the magazines, all the papers wanted to talk to him and carry his interview and his pictures. So Bangalore magazine had seen some of my pictures that had shot of this musician called Sting. I don't know if you know Sting.
Yes.
Yeah, so I had gone to his concert and the PR event that happened, and I had shot a lot of pictures which they had absolutely loved. So
Okay.
they remembered me from there, and they commissioned me to go to Bombay. And this was shot in Salim Suleiman's studio, which is on Jodhaa Road. And even he was very sweet, very down to earth, and again getting a taste of success. And this was the shot which had happened at that point in time. So this is my first celebrity shot ever, like somebody famous I had shot. This is the one. Then moving on to, yeah. So again, now I had done a couple of shoots for him. Now this is also for on the sets of one of his films. He had called me. We had a common friend, so he had called me specifically to do some pictures of him because he had this really short hair, and he did not really think he would have this kind of short hair again. So
Okay.
he had called me specifically to get some pictures done in this attire, and he was shocked because he really said that I have never looked this good, and yeah, a lot of people agreed, unfortunately. Again, this is, I think, one of my favorite pictures of Shahrukh. So this actually is a candid shot where the makeup dada, as they call him on a movie set, he's
Uh-huh.
showing him the mirror and he's just fixing his hair and getting ready for the shot. And I
Uh-huh.
was sitting down under the camera, under the movie camera, trying to basically waiting until he finished what he was doing. Uh,
Yeah.
so that angle from where I saw him, I think there was so much happening, and the whole intensity in his eyes, and the hands next to the sides of the head, everything was just very powerful. So I really took fancy to the kind of settings that were available. And for me, I think this is one of the very strong shots of Shah Rukh Khan. Am I audible? Did I go off?
Yes. No, I think we just lost your video. You're still audible.
Oh,
If you could check your USB cable, I think.
oh, one sec. Sorry.
Okay, while we wait for Samir to solve the issue that he's facing, this is the next session that we're doing. So we have Saurabh Joshi, who's a Fuji film mentor. He's going to launch the Fuji X-T4 online for us. He's going to demonstrate the feature set of the X-T4 on screen. And this session will happen on Thursday, 18th of June, 6:30 p.m. So please note that it's on Thursday and not on a weekend as we normally do it. But this should be another interesting session. So please join us on Thursday for this. Great.
Great, nice. Good update. I'll try and make it also.
Yes, it should be an interesting camera.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a picture of Aishwarya. Now, this is not a part of the film. Again,
Uh,
I was going completely ballistic shooting her pictures, and she always used to see me from the corner of the eye, and she had this very playful thing of deliberately looking away and not giving me shots, and then giving me a very cheeky smile, like how she's dodged me. So this was just like a joke that was between us, on the film, and this picture actually is me clicking her from some corner without her knowing, and this is basically she looking at me like, okay, I see you, I know that you're clicking me. So that look was that it is not actually in the movie. So fun shot. And very recently these pictures are used, this particular picture has been used so many places that it's just come up all over the internet as of right now.
it's very different from the images that we normally see of her.
Yes, that's correct. Again, this is again not in the film. Now this is a fun moment on My Name Is Khan, because again both the actors were waiting for the next shot. Lighting
Uh-huh.
was set, everything was set, and basically Karan, Shahrukh, and Kajol, all three of them were just playing like some detective thing. So all of them had walkies, and they were just blabbering some random gibberish into the walkie-talkies, and they were saying things like my name is Bond, and I'm not a terrorist, or something like that, or my name is Bond, and I'm not a detective. I think there was some joke that was happening, and then that's when I stepped in and I said, okay, let's just capture these funny moments. And when they saw me shoot, they were all like those men in black kind of. They all put on the shades. And Karan, I have in a different shot, I don't have it with me right now, but this is what they were doing. The whole Secret Service, the whole men in black kind of a thing is what they were up to until the shot got ready. So these are all the fun moments that I've captured in between the shots, but yeah, they amount to a really great picture as well.
Very nice.
Yeah, again, this is a very interesting picture from Jodhaa Akbar. Now, on this day, the elephant had actually lost control, and at I think one point, I remember it had very slightly charged at Hrithik, and it made him very very nervous, and he was scared. We were scared, And looking at the elephant's temperament, I think the entire day's shoot was cancelled and put on the next day. So this is right before, or I think in between, when all this happened. So again, a very interesting frame, good contrast, and a lot of highlights, a lot of shadows, interesting textures. So makes it a really good picture.
And especially with the backstory behind it. Really.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So now over to a very recent movie publicity shoot that I did. This
Okay.
was for Z5, and they've got this psycho thriller, which is a movie called Poshampa. So again, I was called, I think, one day in advance for this film, and this was shot throughout the night. I think I reached there at about 6:37 in the evening, and I think we wrapped up the next day morning. There were night
Okay.
shoots happening of the film in a bungalow on Mud Island. And as they were going and giving the film shot, they were coming into my still setup and giving the still shot. So over here
Okay.
also, I was bound by a brief because the guy who was working on these creatives had very specific layouts that he had designed, like mock layouts with different pictures from different references. So he just put them there, pasted them there, and he had got like a sort of a layout ready for me, that this has to look exactly this way, the lighting has to be exactly this way, the mood has to be this way. He even took me through the entire story of the movie, so I understood the darkness of character behind each person's face and personality. Like,
Yeah.
someone who looks this innocent is so evil at the back. So I had to understand all the characters before I could shoot them. So I knew exactly what I was shooting. And again, these three actors, they were amazing, such veteran actors. I did not have to instruct them at all. In fact, after a point, when I was telling them do this and do that, they actually put a hand out at me. Okay, we're just going to do it. We are exactly going to do like we're doing it on the film. You just keep clicking. And I realized that, yeah, sometimes I just need to keep my mouth shut. And although I have the gift of the gab and I can talk well and I can really break the ice, sometimes it's not needed. Sometimes, again, you should just let things happen.
Yeah.
So again, great shoot, great experience.
Very nice. Samir, Anand has a question that could be relevant. So
Sure.
what he asked is, when you shoot candid shots on a movie set,
Hmm.
do you retain the copyright or does that belong to the movie?
See, it belongs to the movie. I have the copyright in the sense I have a default. I have a default copyright over everything that I shoot, but I cannot make commercial use of it. If I'm shooting a movie candid, or in between shots candid, the property is the productions. I can't sell it or make money out of it. I can use it to promote myself. I can use it to advertise myself, but not essentially make commercial use of that very picture. Is what I understand.
Yeah.
So I can use this right now in this session as as an exhibit, just to
Yeah.
showcase my work. If I say
Yes.
I'm going to sell these pictures to primes and zooms so that they can exhibit it, of course that's not allowed because it's not my content
Right.
entirely.
Yes.
Now this was an ad campaign for Nikon cameras. So
Mhm.
again, this was, I think we did three of these kinds.
Okay.
So all three shot on Mud Island. And this is very interesting because this is a campaign for Nikon cameras and shot on a Canon. So they convinced me every time I would go. The agency guys used to see the Canon in my hand and they're like, "What is this? This is not done. Like, who allowed this?" And they would really pull my leg. I said, "I'm willing to switch over to Nikon. Give me a good deal. Just get it down to 50%, or even better, just give it to me and I'll endorse you and I'll publicize. I'll make sure you can buy more. Sorry, you can sell more. So you're
Right.
going to make it worth my while. There's no incentive for me to move right now." So there was this. In fact, I remember long back when I had posted this picture on Twitter. In fact,
Uh,
Priyanka Chopra had replied to my tweet saying, "And shot on a Canon," because she would see the Canon camera in my hand. I have that tweet somewhere, but yeah, it was interesting. Even she noticed it. Again, this is editorial shoot. This was also shot in Delhi. So this
uh-huh.
was an early morning flight. Landed in Delhi, did the shoot, evening flight back to Pune. So this was
Okay.
shot in his house in Vasant Vihar. his basement is converted into this very sprawling place where he entertains people and has this get-togethers and stuff. So great guy, very down to earth. Again, needed a lot of instructions because somewhere these people are sportsmen and they are a little shy and a little on the back foot when it comes to being in the eye of the camera and being having all the limelight on them. So I think the comfort levels get a little shaky. So again, holding them together and making them comfortable is very, very important. That's how these shots came about. Now, this is again Shahrukh Khan. This is the look test of My Name is Khan, which we had done at Mannat in his bungalow before the movie schedule started.
Okay.
This is Sonu. Sonu is a very dear friend. I know him from Jodhaa Akbar, and we bonded on that film really, really well. In fact, my whole addiction to workouts and diet and nutrition is, I think, 80% because of Sonu and 20% because of Hrithik, because we would meet after the shoot on the sets of Jodhaa Akbar, and we would talk about fitness, and they would tell me about I'm so tall and my structure is so good and my frame is so broad, but why am I so fat, and do this and do that, and they used to really, really, really push me, and they pushed me so much that in the studio itself I started working out, and I used to see them so dedicated to their nutrition and so dedicated to their workouts that it really, really pushed me in the right direction. And after that, it's just been an addiction with me, so I've got him to thank.
That's hard to believe you were fat at one time.
I was. It never showed because I'm 6 feet 2 inches. So
Right.
in my 10th, I was like 115 kilos, but I was already 6 feet in my 10th standard. So I think the height kind of distributed it evenly across, the entire frame. If I would be short, I think I would be just pouring out of my clothes. So I think my height really came in handy. We've got, I think, three more. Again, this is Sanya Malhotra, the Dangal girl. This was shot for, you see her in Dangal and you can't ever imagine that she could be so nice and, so effeminate and so lovely looking.
Yeah.
So again, somebody who's very, very grounded, down to earth. We came to we went to the studio and we were waiting for her. And I would normally expect any celebrity who has done even a little bit of work come with a whole entourage of people. And she very sweetly knocked on the door, and I opened the door, and she was just there all by herself. She took a cab, or I don't know if she drove over there, but she came alone. Here, even small time models and intermediate models move around with an entourage, and somebody who's done mainstream movies, in fact 1 2 3 of them, just came all alone, very, very casually. That itself made me think that the shoot is going to go really well. And I think we've got this one. So this was shot in US. This is actually during My Name is Khan. Everybody knew that this guy's going to become like a big star because his dad was about to launch him. But yeah, I think Karan Johar launched him in Student of the Year. And I think we're pretty good friends on My Name is Khan. So in fact, him and Siddharth Malhotra, both of them were assistant directors on My Name is Khan. So that's how all of us bonded, and we really had a good time. We used to hang out and have fun on the film, and we did these occasional shots, which this is one of them. And we knew that he's going to be a star, and I'm like, well, why not? Let's just add to our stock of pictures. And he's very photogenic, very cool, very down to earth. So a lot of people, I keep saying down to earth because a lot of people keep asking me that do celebrities make your life hell, or do they make it difficult, or who's the one who has given you the most toughest time? Honestly, as a photographer, something like that does not really exist, because everybody knows that they have to look good, they have to project themselves in a certain way out there. And if they don't really and I've got a vision, and they have to let me realize my vision. If at any point they're going to come in the creative process or the process of that happening, it's just going to hamper the entire dynamics of the photo shoot, and it's going to go down the drain. So as a photographer, I have never really had a bad experience with anyone, even if I know someone to be very high headed, or somebody who's got a lot of attitude and does not really have any patience. uh, I have never really come across anybody, especially on my shoots. So, touch wood. But yeah, it's been great with everyone. And this last picture I've got is Urvashi Rotela. So again, this is like a editorial shoot. So inside the studio now, plain walls is all we had. So what do you do? So just the woodwork on the wall was the best thing I could find in that studio. So just just a hint of texture, where I could bring out, complement the tassels on the back of the dress, and have some similarity between the design on the wall. So that was the thought behind it. If not that, it would have been just like a dark gray plain wall. So yeah, so this is like a compilation of 36 pictures which I've got. I've also got some behind the scenes if you want me to show you right now or at a later stage, but you tell me.
We can go ahead. So my next question anyway was going to be about what equipment you use. Uh, Before I go there, we spoke about vision. So you spoke about the photographer having his vision and having to do whatever it takes to convert that vision into a photograph. So Vivek Joshi has a question around post processing. And
Okay.
what he wants to ask is, do you do your own post processing or do you outsource it to somebody within your team or outside your team? Because it's an important component of executing your vision.
Correct. So earlier, when I was a standalone photographer, I used to do a little bit of my own editing, and I knew exactly how much I wanted and how much I don't wanted. Afterwards, what happened is, I'm very, very short on patience, as I think a photographer should never be. So I realized that, I'm shooting something for maybe half a day, and I'm taking 3 4 days after that just to edit the picture. And in my head, somewhere there was this big mismatch. I think I was not okay with the idea of putting in so much of time into it, and I was really running out of patience. So I started outsourcing the post processing work to some freelancers that I knew in Pune, in Mumbai. I went I went as far as people in Noida who would touch up the pictures and send it back to me on WeTransfer and other utilities and other interfaces. But then I realized that there was too much of back and forth, because the kind of editing that they were doing was an absolute overkill. I'm someone who likes deformities in skin. I like flaws in skin. I like the texture of the skin. I like wrinkles on the skin. So if you see my Instagram posts, most of the pictures I post saying that this is minimum editing, or this is directly from the camera, or I've played only with the brightness, contrast, saturation, and maybe the color temperature, and the photograph is directly from the camera. So I really, really prize myself as being somebody who is hardly doing any kind of editing on pictures. Of course, if it's the need of the client, it's a different story altogether, because if they want porcelain skin, and if they want polished pictures, if they want everything removed, and give them a plastic skin, I really have to honor the commitment. I really have to honor that request and give it to them, because it's ultimately the client that I'm shooting it for. But yes, I will make sure that my point is put across, that this much of editing is too much. I'm someone who does about 5% editing. So going back to the point, so I gave it to a lot of freelancers, and after which I realized that they were really going overboard, and I was not happy with it. So the picture would go back and forth at least 2 3 times, and I would waste a lot of time. Also, I realized that I want to run my photography as a businessman, and not just an artist. Of course, I'm an artist, but I don't want to be just an artist. I want to make a business model out of it. I want to hire people. I want to have a team of people. So in that sense, I hired an in-house team of photographers, in-house team of photo retouchers and editors, and now everything happens in-house under my supervision. They know exactly how much I need it, how much I don't need it. Sometimes I give it to the guy, he just probably will uh, take care of some bumps on the skin and some very, very obvious glaring flaws which we can't fix with makeup. That's all about the editing that we do, and we send it out to clients. And we believe in doing as much as possible while doing a photo shoot. Like if there's a wire which is running behind the model, of course you can get it out in Photoshop. It's like a 2-second job. But if you can actually move the wire and avoid that also, that's my endeavor. So to
Yeah.
do as less post processing as possible. And yeah, my team over here pretty much knows it. They get a very, very hard time from me if they go overboard or if anything is overdone, and I make them do it over and over again. So I have an entire team of people who are extremely tuned into my kind of shooting and my kind of imagery. So I think that should answer your question.
Yeah. Thank you, Samir.
Most
So,
welcome.
Samir, the next question is about the equipment that you use. So,
Yeah.
what gear do you use? You already touched upon lights, but if you could touch upon the camera and the lenses that you're using.
So I essentially have a Canon system. Since I picked up, even the film camera was something which my dad had bought because he got, I think, two bodies of a Canon EOS 88 film camera. So he got the Canon, and I started shooting on those film cameras. They're very basic entry level cameras, but did the job for me. After that, I've never really moved away from a Canon. It's always been a Canon for me. So I have right now the Canon 5D SR, and I've gone through all the generations from a 5D. I think the first digital camera I had bought was the Canon 10D. It was a 10D, and it was a 6.5 megapixel camera, which a friend of not a friend of mine, but this camera dealer had shipped, or rather got all the way from Sweden, because it was not available over here as yet. And it was a
Okay.
6.5 megapixel camera, and I was doing press photography at the time, and I told my peers over there that this is a 6.5 megapixel camera, and everybody's jaw dropped to the ground. They're like, 6.5 megapixel, why do you need that much? What was the instant reaction? And right now I'm shooting on a 80 megapixel, and I know the difference. The times have changed. So I moved on to, I think my second digital camera was the 5D. From the 5D to the 5D Mark II, then I got the 5D Mark II two times over, selling the old one, buying a new one. Then on one day, I distinctly remember that we were shooting for My Name Is Khan in Bombay, in Filmistan, and I had an assistant with me. So Shahrukh came and he's standing for the shot, and I asked my assistant to get the camera ready. He took the camera out, and he put the memory card inside the camera, upside down,
Oh my God.
and the camera was on. He did not even switch it off, and because it was not going in, he shoved it inside, and the camera body short circuited in my own hands. Like, all the displays flickered and they just went off.
Oh
And
my God.
Shahrukh is standing right there in front of me, and only I know how I saved the day. I had to make up some excuse, and I don't know what I said to him, but I called my camera guy, and I was forced to purchase the 5D Mark II on the spot. Like, I did not
Okay.
really have that kind of money to spend on a new body because my other camera was perfectly fine. So, and I think 2.5, 3 hours, my camera guy came. He called me from the door. This guy went outside, and I got like a box packed piece of a brand new camera body, on which we did the shoot. So sometimes it's very expensive, the price you pay, but a job has to be done,
Yeah.
and anything that you have to do to get the job done has to be done. So right now I have the 5D SR. I, for the longest time, used to shoot on the 70-200 f2.8 lens, and the 24-105. So I sold those, and now I've shifted to some block lenses. So I have the 85 f1.2. I've got the Sigma Art Series lens, which is a 1.8. I've got the Canon 2470 f4, and I've got a Lens Baby Composer Pro. So that's the collection that I have, as far as 35 goes. And
Right.
I had the 7200 and the 24-105 for the longest time. Every couple of years, I would sell those lenses and buy those same lenses again, because that was my zone. I did not require anything more than that, or anything under that. So once you know
Right.
that this is exactly what is the nature of work, I don't understand why people have like 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8 lenses, in their box, and I think half of them are never ever used. I think I was that person at a point in time, but then I realized that what I need to get the job done is this, and this is what I'm going to keep investing in. Very recently, I also got the Hasselblad body, and I got with that the phase one IQ 180, which is the 80 megapixel digital back.
Right.
Yeah, so that's, and I've got the 150 lens and the 80 lens in the Hasselblad.
Let me move on to my next question, Samir. So
Sure.
before we go there, I have two questions from the audience. So one question is, did you ever think of having a medium format camera? So which you've already answered. You've recently gone
Correct.
into a Hasselblad system. The other question is, have you ever shot with 50 f 1.8 for movie shoots?
50 1.8 for movie shoots. I might have shot on that focal length, but not as a block 50 lens. The
Right.
24 105, I don't really just randomly zoom in and zoom out. I know exactly what focal length I want to shoot in. So even if it's a zoom lens, I will keep it on whatever focal length I want, not uh, nudge from it at all and then shoot. So yeah, 50 is not my preferred focal length, because if you see my work, I like to go in. I like to go very, very close, very, very tight. So generally, most of my shots are literally chest up or bust up. So 50, with 50, I have to go very, very close. So I think
Right.
85 and above is my zone of work. But yeah, 50 is good. I've got nothing against it.
Sure. So Samir, I'm coming to my last question, which is, do you have any advice from your own experiences for people who want to make a career in this field, shooting fashion or shooting production stills or shooting celebrities? What are you going to advise them?
See, I get contacted by a lot of people. A lot of people come to me for advice. A lot of people write to me. A lot of people call me. Whoever I can talk with and I can respond to, I just tell them one thing, that they have not shot enough to understand what they have liked or what they like to shoot. Like I mentioned earlier, that I never chased being in this profession. This genre of photography that I am into, I never chased it. It just happened on its own, because probably it was meant to be. So I see a lot of people, in fact everyone, they are so dissatisfied with their photography and themselves because they're not shooting fashion. They're so unhappy because they're not shooting glamour,
Right.
and that's their ultimate aim, to get into fashion photography and glamour photography. And I don't know why. There are so many people I ask, what is fashion photography? So I ask people, what is the difference between advertising photography, editorial photography, and fashion photography? And trust me, no one has been able to give me a convincing answer. So they feel somebody is wearing some kind of clothes and some kind of very obnoxious, awkward looking contorted pose that the model is doing, and they click a picture, and that has been sent to me as fashion. So much so
Right.
that when people approach me for working with me as assistants or interns, I tell them that I do not want to see your work at all. Like, don't show me any of your work, because I exactly know what's going to be in there. So I put more points for sincerity, for obedience, for punctuality, for how dedicated you can be to the studio. So going back to your question, I really feel that people don't shoot as much as they have to. I think people need to shoot everything. When I
Huh.
think the best part that happened with me is, I shot interiors, I shot food, I shot overflowing drainages and trees and Ganpati Visarjans, and I've done everything. There's no genre of photography that I've not done. And after doing all these things, I realized, okay, this is my niche, because I'm good with people. I've got communication skills. I can articulate really well. I can convince almost anyone into doing anything. And I think this is a very, very important skill set to have. So automatically I veer towards in this direction. But in the attempt of chasing fashion photography, in the attempt of chasing to be a glamour photographer, you are completely missing the point, or you're overlooking the fact that you can be an extremely talented food photographer. Have you ever tried that? You can be an extremely talented interiors photographer. Have you ever tried that? Like, what is this obsession of constantly going behind fashion photography and glamour photography is something I don't understand. So I think shoot everything till you're bored of it, and then you decide, okay, this is what I enjoy doing the most. And I realize that most of the people who want to shoot fashion, who want to shoot glamour, want to shoot it for the wrong reasons. If you know what I mean.
Yes.
So it's just botched out there. And I really feel, shoot anything and everything, don't wait for fashion to happen to you or you to happen to fashion photography. In fact, there are, if I ask you, Abhijit, how many fashion photographers do you know? You can probably tell me 10 fashion photographers at the tip of your fingers, right?
Right.
If I tell you, tell me 10 best interior photographers. Can you tell me? If you
Difficult.
tell if I ask you, tell me 10 top-notch food photographers, can you tell me? I doubt it. Maybe three, four, five you can tell me, but nobody's exploring these fields. And
Right.
why not? It is art. It is your shooting. Are you passionate about just fashion photography? You have to ask yourself the question why. But if you're passionate about photography as a medium of art, as a medium of expression, I think anything and everything can be shot, and there is no you're not compromising or getting the short end of the stick if you're not shooting fashion. So explore all genres of photography, and then you realize then you'll automatically realize what you want to pursue, and then put your effort in that direction, is what I would like to tell people.
So, Savi, the second part of that question is to do with people getting to learn from you. So, I
Hmm.
know you conduct the masterclass series,
Oh
but could
yes,
you
which
just
you
give
always
the
support graciously.
so if you can give the audience a quick overview of the masterclass and how that happens and how they can learn from you.
Of course, of course. So earlier these used to be basic photography workshops, but then I realized that I think I told you that I'm very short on patience. So I think telling them the basics of the camera is, I think, something I can't do anymore. So I have moved the entire module, and I have made a customized masterclass where it's a 2 day affair, where
Right.
I call professional models from Bombay. I call a team of makeup hair people, and it's basically a discussion on my experiences, what I've learned, what I've not learned. I try and give them sets of lights. Ellen Chrome has been a partner last time, I think, even the time before that. So we've got, I think, 3 3 4 4 lights that we give all the participants to shoot with. And basically it's about communication, how a photographer needs to groom himself, what are the essentials that a photographer needs to have as a part of his personality, how do you develop that. We touch up upon grooming, we touch up about other aspects of a photographer, because a photographer is not someone who can just click good pictures. So this is the overview of the masterclass. It doesn't happen very often. It happens every couple of months, yes, but it typically happens when I have that kind of bandwidth, and I have that kind of bandwidth to prepare for it, and actually execute it, because it's a lot of hard work. And
It is.
yeah. And also, as a part of the masterclass, I give them a 1 hour one-on-one session where I indulge them into conversations. It could be a mentorship about their career, it can be an assessment of their portfolio, or what they have shot, what they should shoot, some critique on their pictures. So that's a 1 hour session I give all the participants of the masterclass. Also, the masterclass has one more format, so it comes to me, or rather I offer it in the sense of an assistantship and an internship. So
Okay.
over there, so what I do is, I've got a couple of seats for which I charge a fee. And because I charge a fee, I get very, very serious about giving that kind of exposure and that kind of importance to that candidate. Also, this
Right.
person who's going to come with me and pay a fee is going to be that much serious in terms of taking away as much as he can, from me. So all
Right.
this teaching in the assistantship program and the internship program happens very, very passively. So you're a part of the team, you're involved in everything, the decision making, the execution, the equipment, and a lot of things. So whatever happens in the studio, you are a part of. And in that sense, I try to lend as much experience as I can through both these programs. So
Mhm.
that's an extension of the masterclass. But yeah, this thing happens throughout the year. The masterclass happens probably once every 3 months, 4 months, but also that's not very, very certain. But yeah, it happens very often.
Right. Very nice. So, Samir, that brings us to the end of our session today. I want to thank you for giving us excellent visuals, great stories behind the visuals, and an inside peek into what to a lot of us is an exciting area of photography. At least on the
Right.
outside, it looks a very exciting genre. And I think there's a lot that our audience has learned from you today. So thank you so much for sparing the time. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure,
And
pleasure.
Hopefully, we'll have more sessions with you again.
Oh,
Get to tap
definitely.
into your knowledge a lot more.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I look forward to that. It's been really, really great. I love talking about all these things and my experience. And I'm somebody who shares everything, even my masterclass, even my Instagram posts, I try to give out as much knowledge as I can. So this was, one more effort, extended effort at trying to achieve the same thing. Thank you for this opportunity. And it's always great being associated with you and Primes and Zooms. So look
Thank,
forward to more.
thank you, Samir.
Most welcome. See you.
See you. Thanks to our audience for joining us today. We hope you learned from this session. Join us for our next session on Thursday. It's going to be a session with Fujifilm mentor Saurabh Joshi. He will be demonstrating the feature set of the X-T4. The X-T4 is Fuji's latest camera. So this session is happening on Thursday, 18th June, 6:30 p.m. So I'll see you then. Thank you so much.